The story's name is Corn. The first sentence is written here that when the gods were between me and dog, I hid behind a tree. When the gods were between me and dog, I hid I hid behind a tree. It is told through the sentences to ask that person who is speaking here that when the gods were between me and dog, I hid behind a tree. It is told through the sentences to ask that the person he when the person when he was with the gods were around him. So the goats were around him, and the dog and the person was among the goats. So he himself hid behind a fat tree. So the next sentence is written here that then I shouted at my dog, "Come here." It is told through the sentences to ask that uh, when he thought that he is among the gods, and he is between the and he and the dog is he and the dog are between the among the gods. So he thought that he should call the dog, and he shouted to the dog, "Hey dog, come here, come near to me." So he shouted to the dog, to his own dog. So the next sentence is written here that he started to run to me, and the gods too. It is told through the sentences to us that as the person shouted to the dog and all the gods were running to the person. So the next sentence is written here that I stayed in my position behind the tree when one of the gods was close to me. It is told through the sentences to us that as the man shouted to the gods and the dog came running to the person, and they stood behind. They stood near the person, and but among the gods and the dog, one god was close to the person. So the next sentence is written here that I jumped and I caught its leg. It is told, but then the god kicked me with its second nose, with its second legs, with its second legs in nose. It is told through the sentences to us that, and as he found one god was close to him, so he caught the he caught the he caught its legs. So when the person caught its two legs, the god kicked the person with its front legs in nose of the person. So the next sentence is written here that it hurt a lot. I let the god, and the god was soon gone. It is told through the sentences to us that as the god hurt with its front legs on the nose of the person, he was hurt on his nose, and he cried, and that's why he let the god go, and very soon the god was gone. So the next sentence is written here that we were not successful. This was not good way to catch a god. It is told through the sentences to us that, and he was unsuccessful there. He could not catch the um, god among the god. So he thought that this is not the way to catch a god actually, and we had to do it differently. And he thought that in different ways he should try to catch the god, and that's why he used another way to catch the god. We had to do it differently. I told my dog, had go home. I need some rest. It is told through the sentences to ask that. So he thought that in different ways, through the different ways, he will catch the god. So he spoke to his dog to go home. To go home, and he spoke to the dog that he will need some rest. So he will take rest at this time there. The next sentence is written here that I worked on my fans from January to March. It is told through the sentences to us that he thought that he will need some pants. He will need some pants. He will need some pants to cover the god. So he thought that he will make fans, and that's why he worked on the fans till January to March. So the next sentence is written here that it took me a long time because I wanted to make it very strong. It is told through the sentences to us that. So as he thought that he will work on fans for covering the for cover for covering the god. So he worked on the fans till January to March, and he and making the fans it took a long time, and because he wanted to make a strong fence. The next sentence is written here that I found during this time I found pigeons on the land, and it is told through the sentences to us that while he was making strong fans to to cover the goats. So he found the pigeons on the land. He caught it. So the next sentence is written here that their homes were not in the trees. They lived in halls which were in the rock. It is told through the sentences to us that. So as he caught the pigeons, he came to know that their homes are not on the trees. Their homes are the halls of the their homes are the halls of the big trees. Their homes are the uh, halls of the rock. So it means it is told through the sentences to us that the pigeons, the birds, they were not living on the trees. They were living in the hall of the rocks. So the next sentence is written here that it was easy to catch them. Their meat was great. It is told through the sentences to us that as he came to know that the pigeons were living in the halls of the rock, so he thought that it is very easy to catch the pigeons. I could also cook and eat their eggs. It is told through the sentences to us that. So he is speaking himself that pigeons meat are very tasty. It is a great meat, and he can cook the meat of the pigeons, and he will eat the egg of the pigeons. So the next sentence is written here that when I worked on my fans, I found a small bag. It is told through the sentences to us that while he was working on the fence, he found a small bag. The next sentence is written here that I remembered corn in the bag, but now there were only some leaves and dust in the bag. It is told through the sentences to us that as he found the small bag, he thought that there are some corns, but as he thought that there were some corns, but it was not right. But he was not right. Later he found some dust and some dried leaves, which were found in the bag, and he remembered that he thought that before some corns in the bag. So the next sentence is written here that I took the bag outside my camp. I emptied the bag because I needed it for the gunpowder. I took the bag outside of my camp. I emptied the bag because I needed it for the gunpowder. It is told through the sentences to us that as he remembered that inside the bag there was no corn, there was the only dust and dry leaves. So took outside the bag from he took the bag outside of his camp, and he emptied the bag because he wanted the bag for gunpowder to keep. So the next sentence is written. It is told through the sentences to us that he took out the bag of the camp, and he emptied the bag because he wanted the bag to keep gunpowder there inside. So the next sentence is written here that this happened shortly before the rains. It is told through the sentences to us that and he did the work very soon because he did the work very soon before the rain. The next sentence is written here that a month later I found a few green leaves. A month later I found a few green leaves in that place. It was young corn. It is told through the sentences to us that after some not after some month, a month later, he found some small plants, small green leaves in that place, and he is in that small place, and he remembered that it was the corn plants. So the next sentence is written here that words could not express how happy I was. I had corn. It is told through the sentences to us that as he came to know that there are some green plants in the land, and he later came to know that it is the plants are of the corn. The plants are of the corn. So he could not hold his happiness. He cried out, and he was very happy to find the corn in that land. And I had corn on the island. It was fantastic. It is told through the sentences to us that he was praising himself, that how lucky he is that he has found corn in the island, and it was very fantastic, he thought. So the next sentence is written here that I could bake bread in the future. It is told through the sentences to us that, and he thought that by the corn he will bake by the corn he will bake bread and he will eat in future. So the next sentence is written here that something happened on March 16. It is told there through the sentences to us that, and something it was wrong or bad, I don't know, but something has happened. Something has happened on March 16th. So the next sentence is written here that it was inside my cave when pieces of earth started to fall from the ceiling. It was inside my cab when pieces of earth started to fall from the ceiling. It is told through the sentences to us that, as I have told you before, that something wrong happened. Something wrong happened on 16 March. So it was the it was the incident that it was inside the cave of the person, and the incident was some pieces of earth was falling down. Some pieces of earth was falling down in the cave. Some pieces of earth falling down inside the cave from ceiling. So the next sentence, it was the wrong incident. So the next sentence is written here that I was scared. I did not want my work to be destroyed. It is told through the sentences to us that as he remembered that the pieces of earth were falling down from ceiling. So he was very much shocked and he was very much scared, seeing that he did not want to destroy his own place, that he did not want to he didn't want to waste his corn. So he was very much scared. The next sentence is written here that I ran outside the cave. I noticed that the ground started to set everywhere. I ran outside the cave. I noticed that the ground started to set everywhere. It is told through the sentences to us that he ran outside of the cave, and he noticed that the ground that the ground started to shed everywhere. The next sentence is written here that it was an earthquake. I was shocked and scared. It is told through the sentences to us that as he came to know that he ran out of the cab, and he noticed that the ground started to sad everywhere. So he came to know that it was the earthquake, and he was very much scared, knowing that he was very much shocked. The next sentence is written here that some big stones fell from the hill. It is told through the sentences to us that as the earthquake came, the some big stones, some big stones fall, some big stones fell down from the hill. The next sentence is written here that, but I was lucky they did not hit my tent. It is told through the sentences to us that as he saw that some big stones were falling down from the hill, but the stones were not, um, but the stones did not destroy the cave. He was very much lucky, he thought. The stones did not destroy the cave of the person, so he thought that he is very lucky that time. The earthquake was a finished stone, it is told, but I was afraid to go inside. It is told through the sentences to us that, but very soon the earthquake, but very soon but very soon the earthquake finished, and he was very much scared, and he was very much shocked to go inside. He thought that what type of situation will be there inside. So the next sentence is written here that I sat on the ground in front of my tent. It is told through the sentences to us that, and he was very much shocked to go inside of the cave. So he sat down in front of his cave, in front of his tent, and he started thinking what to do. So the next sentence is written here that I started to think maybe it was better not to sleep in the cave. It was not very safe in case and another earthquake came. I started to think maybe it was better not to sleep inside the cave. It was not very safe in the in it was not very safe in case another earthquake came. It is told through the sentences to us that maybe it is he started thinking that maybe it is better not to sleep inside the cave, and it was not very safe to sleep inside in case another earthquake came. The next sentence is written here that, but I did not want to sleep in the tent. But I did not want to sleep in the tent, so I decided to make a house instead of the tent. I wanted to use the cave only as a uh, sailor. It is told through the sentences to us that, but I did not want to sleep in the tent, so I decided to make a house instead of the tent. I wanted to use the cave only as a cellar. It is told through the sentences to us that. So he thought, and he decided not to sleep inside the cave, and he will make he will build another house instead of the cave, and he will use the cave as a cellar. So the next sentence is written here that the next day I started to build the house. The next day I started to build the house. It was in the April. It is told it took me 3 months to build the house, but I was happy with my new home. The next sentence is written here that the next day I started to build the house. It is told through the sentences to us there, and from the next day he started to build the he and in the next day he started to build his new house, and it was the month of April. And the next sentence is written here that it took me 3 months to build the new house, and as he was building his new house, it took 3 months to build a new house, he told here. And after making the new house, he was very happy to live. He was very happy living. He was very happy living with the new house. He was very happy living in the new house. The next sentence is written here that I was ill in the last week of July. I had a temperature. I could not get out of the bed. I was very weak. I could do nothing in that state. I had crazy dreams. The dreams were not very logical, but for me, they were real when I had these dreams. The first sentence is written here that I was ill in the last week of July. It is told through the sentences to us that and at the end of the at the end of the month of July he fell sick. He fell sick and he was fever. He had a temperature and I could not get out of the bed, and he spoke here that he could not get out of his own bed, and I was very weak. I could do nothing in that state, and he spoke here that he was very weak that time as he had temperature, and he could do nothing, and he could do nothing in his, and he could do nothing in that state. So he spoke here that I had crazy dreams. The dreams were very logical. He spoke here that he had crazy dreams to be live further, and he spoke here that he spoke here that his dreams were very real, very logical, but for me they were real. The dreams were not very logical. I had crazy dreams. The dreams were not very logical, but for me they were real when I had these dreams. It is told through the sentences to us that he spoke here that he had crazy dreams, but he had crazy dreams, but he spoke here that the dreams were not very real, not very logical. But for him, when he was living young, his dreams were very real and very logical.